The Senate will please come to order. I would ask that all members please take their seats and that the guests please clear the aisles. The clerk will unlock the machine for the purpose of recording attendance. Have all senators indicated their attendance? Will the clerk please lock the machine? There are 37 members in attendance. There is a quorum. At this time, I would ask for all members and the guests to please rise for the invocation and Pledge of Allegiance, to be led today by Senator Louis DePalma, representing the City of Newport and the towns of Little Compton, Middletown, and Tiverton.
As we reconvene in the Senate chamber, let us once again contemplate our reasons for being here. Let us also ask our Creator that He bestow special blessings today on us all and properly guide us in serving the people of our state. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The first order of business is the reading of the previous day's journal. Will the clerk please read?
State of Rhode Island and Providence Plantations, Journal of the
Senator
Senate.
DePalma.
Madam President, I move that further reading of the journal be dispensed with and the journal be accepted as printed.
So ordered. Next order of business is the introduction of guests. Are there any guests present? Senator Archambault.
Thank you, Madam President. To you and through you.
Please proceed.
Madam President, I have with me today my intern for the session, Daria Capaldi. Daria just graduated Suffolk University. She is referred to me through Judge Montalbano, and she's looking forward to a very successful session, so I want to welcome her. And Madam President, if I may, it's with some measure of sadness that I recall that today is the one-year anniversary of the passing of our beloved Senate page, David Cunha. David would have been 22 years of age on January 1st. I'd ask if we'd all observe a moment of silence in David's honor.
Senator Archambault has requested that the Senate observe a moment of silence on behalf of David Cunha, and it is so ordered. Next order of business is committee reports and communications. There being none, at this time the next order of business is new business. Senator DePalma requests immediate consideration of a Senate resolution expressing condolences to the Wardell family on the passing of Chief Petty Officer George Arthur Wardell, United States Navy, retired. Senator Palmer.
May that please be read, Madam?
Senator Palmer requests the resolution be read.
Senate resolution expressing condolences to the Wardwell family on the passing of Chief Petty Officer George Arthur Wardwell, United States Navy, retired. Whereas George Arthur Wardwell was born on June 1st, 1942 in Bath, Maine, and was a 1960 graduate of Walter Gardner High School in Bucksport, Maine. He began his distinguished 32-year military career in January of 1961 when he enlisted in the United States Navy. During his 4 years of active duty, he was assigned to the USS Canberra, serving in both the Mediterranean Sea and in Cuba during the 1962 Cuban Missile Crisis. He later served on the USS Bridget during its tenure in the Gulf of Tonkin, Vietnam. And whereas Chief Petty Officer Wardwell transferred to the Naval Reserve after completing active duty status and served our nation for 28 more years with honor and distinction on numerous ships, including the USS Tills, USS Holder, USS Edson, USS Valdez, and the USS Falcon. He retired after 32 years of service with the rank of Radio Man Chief Petty Officer. He also had an exemplary 40-year career with the United States Civil Service as a telecommunications specialist at the Naval Communications Station in Newport, Rhode Island, and received numerous civilian awards. And whereas during his meritorious military career, Chief Petty Officer Wardwell received numerous medals and commendations, including the Navy Achievement Medal, the Good Conduct Medal, the Naval Reserve Meritorious Service Medal, the Navy Expeditionary Medal, the National Defense Service Medal, the Armed Forces Expeditionary Medal with 3 stars, the Vietnam Service Medal, the Armed Forces Reserve Medal, and the Military Outstanding Volunteer Service Medal. He was also authorized to wear the Navy E ribbon, the Meritorious Service Unit Commendation Medal, the Naval Reserve Sea Service ribbon, and the Navy and Marine Corps Overseas Service ribbon. And whereas Mr. Wardwell was a devoted supporter of numerous military and veterans causes, he was past president of BMCM Edmund Kudo chapter of the Naval Reserve Association, past president, Chapter 79 of the Retired Enlisted Association, Commander, Post 18 of the American Legion, Portsmouth, Rhode Island, 2nd County Commander of the American Legion, Department of Rhode Island, and was a member of the VFW Post 4487. Mr. Wardwell was also a proud member and past council president of the Newport County Council, Navy League of the United States with additional terms as area president, Southern New England, region president, New England, and national vice president. In addition, he was named the Veteran of the Year in 2012 by the Veterans of Foreign Wars in Middletown, Rhode Island. And whereas Mr. Wardwell was an enthusiastic supporter of young Sea Cadets, he marched in local parades on Memorial Day in formation with the 3 Naval Sea Cadet Corps divisions sponsored by the Newport County Council, Navy League of the United States. In 2014, he organized a contingent of Sea Cadets to march in the Bristol 4th of July parade and was a passionate supporter of the Navy League. He also served them as chair of the awards committee, which conducts their annual ceremonies. And whereas Mr. Wardwell also devoted much of his private time in support of the Aquidneck Land Trust, the Ford Adams Trust, the National Association of Active and Retired Federal Employees, and the Council for International Visitors in Newport, Rhode Island. And whereas active in the community, George Wardwell is survived by his devoted wife, Edna Wardwell, his sister, Diane James, and her husband, Arthur, his 2 children, Michael P. Wardwell and Shannon Fuentes, 3 stepchildren, Jason Roach, George Roach, and Claudia McPherson, and 8 grandchildren, Tiffany and Miranda Fuentes, Joshua, Julia, and Ryan Simmons, and Sean McPherson, Lindsay Roach, and Allison McGowan Roach. George was predeceased by his father, Houston, and mother, Phyllis Wardwell, and his brother, Stephen Paul Wardwell. Now, therefore, be it resolved that this Senate of the State of Rhode Island and Providence Plantations hereby expresses its condolences to the Wardwell family on the passing of George A. Wardwell. And be it further resolved that the Secretary of State be and she is hereby authorized and directed to transmit a duly certified copy of this resolution to Mrs. Edna Wardwell. Senator
DePalma.
Thank you, Madam President. I think the resolution speaks for itself. The one thing the resolution doesn't have in it, as you know, George, as well, he had a contagious smile. George was the kind of individual that you can sit down and have a conversation with for hours. And with that, he'll be missed. And with that, I move passage.
Senator DePalma moves passage of the Senate resolution expressing condolences to the Wardell family, seconded by Leader Alger, Leader Ruggiero. All those in favor, please rise. The resolution passes and will be left on the desk for further signatures. If we could return to communications at this time, we've received from Her Excellency the Governor the following appointment to the Rhode Island State Council on the Arts, the appointment of Joseph L. Dowling Jr., M.D., assigned to the Senate Committee on Education. There is no consent calendar today. At this time, are there any announcements and/or introductions? There being none, is there any objection to transmitting adopted resolutions to the Honorable Secretary of State? Hearing none, so ordered. The desk is now clear of business. Madam Whip.
Thank you, Madam President. If there's no further business to come before the Senate, I yield the floor to Senator DePalma for adjournment.
Madam President, members of the Senate, I request we adjourn in memory of George Wardwell.
Senator Palmer moves that the Senate adjourn in the memory of George Arthur Wardell, U.S. Navy retired, seconded by Leader Ruggiero, Leader Alger, many others. All those in favor, please rise. Senate stands adjourned.